All right, we are in Premiere Pro, and I went ahead to New Project. If you don't see that, you can do File New. A lot of times it will have you select like some default test video files that you're welcome to click on if you'd like. I'm actually going to just click Skip, and you should have something looks kind of like this. If you don't, or if something seems a little off, go ahead and click on Window and then Workspaces, and let's make sure Essentials is clicked on versus Learning, and that will kind of skip over the tutorials and things that personally I don't find all that helpful when learning how to do Premiere Pro. When I set up my file, I did name it Practice, but you can call it whatever you want, or Untitled. pproj or prproj is the project file for Premiere Pro. This is not a video file. This is just, think of it as like a PSD for Photoshop. And over here we have where you're going to import your media, your timeline. This is where you're going to click and drag and do all of your editing down here. We'll also have our effect controls and things that we'll get into as we start editing. And then you have some of your basic controls down here. Sometimes, and I know I'm on a slightly different computer here, sometimes they get cut off based on your resolution. So I'll walk you through that if we get to, we can basically just pull that up. So if you're not seeing something, chances are you just need to pull something up. Okay, so we need to get some media. We're going to go ahead and find that on Pixabay. So I'm going to go over here, and I was looking up green screen videos just because you will need to use a green screen video in your practice video file. You'll notice there's like 7,000 on Pixabay. These are all free. You're welcome to download whatever you want. There's lots of ways to do keying or green screen in Premiere Pro. Totally up to you what you want. I'm going to actually just do this butterfly, and we'll click download and then download. It's going to go into my downloads, which is fine. Let's put this butterfly on a background. So now I'm going to find a landscape or whatever. You can find whatever video you want. We're looking under videos. Let's put the butterfly maybe flying over this Bavaria, it looks like. Okay, it doesn't really matter length or anything like that. I'm going to download that. Okay, now I'm going to go back. It says add your media. It might show up down here, and that's fine. You're always welcome to rearrange things as needed, but you should have the ability to import your media here. So we're going to double click on that, and then I'll go to my downloads, and I can double click on that. It's going to add it. I'll double click again in this empty space and add my green screen butterfly. All right, let's drag in that background, and it says drop media here to create a sequence. This is my timeline, and then I'll drag my butterfly down here as well. So the butterfly I want actually to be on top of my landscape. If I try and put it right down here, it's not going to be on top. So I'm going to do Control Z on that. We'll make sure it's on top. I'm going to drag this a little bit lower so you can see it better. So there's my preview. You'll notice that my green screen butterfly is a little bit smaller. It doesn't really make a huge difference, but in case you need to resize something, you're going to double click on what you want to resize, and then you can simply click and drag that up and down. You can even rotate if you'd like to do that if you go to the corner, just like when you're doing free transform in Photoshop. So it's very similar to that. You can move things around wherever you want. Okay. The other thing too is if I click play here, you'll see the butterfly lasts until it gets to this point right down here. And I'll try and make this a little bit bigger. Oh, there we go, right there. So it disappeared and now no longer is part of the video. So I'm going to kind of walk you through trimming things down too and eliminating excess that you might not want. I'm not going to do that just yet though, just because I want to do some keying. So keying is where we're going to actually be removing the green part of the video, and it's going to make it look like the butterflies flying in the air here. In order to get to your keying, you want to make sure that you have effects selected there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my effects button. You might have to do a little searching around if it's not the same as mine. You should find effects there. If not, just do a little digging, and you can always call me over to help you out. So effects, we're looking for video effects, this little arrow key here. Then we're looking for keying, And then we're looking for Ultra key. Now, when you're doing your green screen, I'm going to shrink this down again. When you're doing any kind of effects in general, you're going to click and drag that to the clip. So I'm dragging it to my green screen clip. All right. Then I can go into my effect controls right over here. So effects right here, effect controls here. Personally, I like to have them near each other, so I might even put my effect controls right next to effects because that just seems to make more sense. You don't have to mess with any of these settings here, really. All you need to do is grab that little eyedropper, and you're going to click on the green, and it went ahead and got rid of all of the green in the video. It's a pretty quick video. There it goes. All right, so that was my green screen. There we go. I did my keying. Let's go ahead and add some text in here now, and I'm just going to add it after the butterfly disappears. Again, your text will be the type tool. If you can't see it, we might just have to raise it up or over. It's a little T tool here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just click right wherever I think approximately I want the text, and I'm just going to say, I like Premiere. Okay, and then again, you'll see it lasts for as long as that clip is extended. If I extend this out until the end, it'll last the entire video. Okay, now you're probably going to want to do a little bit of editing in there. So as long as you have that text clip selected in the timeline, you can click and highlight things. And then if you go to your effect controls, you can scroll down, find your little text drop down, and then here is where you can change that typeface. So change it to whatever you want. You can make it bigger, smaller. You can change the color as well. So if I scroll down a little bit, you can see the fill color. Maybe I want to change that to blue. Okay. You can also play around with the placement. So let's say I want to move that text somewhere else. If I grab my selection tool, that again will let me resize like so and move things around. I'm going to make this a little bigger so you can see now. There we go. All right, now we're going to do a little bit of animating, and I want to show you how this works. Tricky part is I want to make sure you have enough room to see. Let's go ahead, bring that up. Okay, so I'm going to animate my text. And I'm going to show you a couple different options for animating. So basic animations include things like zooming in and out, flying across the screen, fading in and out. So I'll show you all of those. So let's start with, we'll do a position or, flying across the screen. So we'll just say I'm starting here, but you could start anywhere. I have my text selected. It's ready to go. We're going to look for our effect controls, and position is where things are going to fly across the screen. So if you click this little stopwatch, that's going to say start the animation. And then let's say I want it to fly across until it reaches about here. I can then hover over. These are my X and Y coordinates. I can hover over and just drag those side to side, so left to right with my mouse. You can also type in the values, and you can also physically move it if you want to. I just kind of like to hover over because it gives me a little more precision. We'll have it move over there. Okay. Now let's see if it worked. When we go back, we should see it moving, which we do. So when we click play, it's moving over ever so gently. All right. Now let's say we want it to start zooming in once it gets to this point. Let's go ahead and click on that stopwatch. That just is the toggle animation button saying, hey, we want to animate now. And then let's go ahead and move that scale up. We just want to drag it to where we want it to end. So let's drag it to where we want it to end. And we're going to make this a lot bigger. Now I can't really see it, so I'm also going to adjust the position too. So this is where you can kind of combine animations too. So you'll see it move and zoom in now, hopefully, which you do. There you go. So we'll press play again. So it's actually moving and zooming at the same time. And then the last one I'll show you is fading out. So we're going to have the text fade out at the end here. Let's do it right about there. And we're going to scroll down. We're looking for opacity. It's probably below our text here. Let's try this one. Here we go. Okay, so right now it's 100%. We'll drag it to the end, and we'll drag this all the way to 0. Okay, there it is. So let's click play. It should move first, which it is. And then it's going to zoom in. You could do this zooming out too. And then it should start fading at the end. So this is a really quick way to do a title. A couple other things before we end the video. You may or may not want to cut some clips. So if you would like to cut a clip, and I'm just going to see if I can make this a little bigger so you can see it. Let's say, for example, we want to cut this background clip in half. We can use the razor blade or razor tool. We can just click that. That's going to cut it into 2 pieces. Now I can simply click and drag those around and rearrange them if I'd like. I already showed you hovering towards the end here and then just clicking and dragging. It's going to basically crop or cut out part of a video as well. Other things too that you might find useful would include music, and you can find music on Pixabay. So if you go to your music, I'll just do lo-fi. Find a song that you like. You can click play to actually preview it. We'll just click download for now. It's an MP3 file, and we're going to import that. So I'll go back to my import area. So it says project practice. We'll just kind of click in between these 2 files. I'll click on my MP3, and then I can click and drag that down. So you can see my MP3 lasts way longer than my video, so I need to shorten that down. Right down here is our toggle where I can drag that over. It just kind of like shrinks it down so I can see the end of that clip. Now I can click and hold at the end of the music, and now it matches up. So when I click play, I should hear the music, which I do, or would. I can't hear it because I have my microphone plugged in, but there's my music there. And that is just about everything you're going to need in your practice video. We will end by exporting. So we'll click on export. And then I'm going to give it a name. You want to give it something you'll recognize. Practice video. Click on this blue link to make sure you have downloads selected as your location, which I do. All of this we can leave as is, and then we'll just click export. It might take a couple seconds, a minute or 2. It kind of depends on the length of the video. This is a pretty quick video, about 16 seconds, 17 seconds or so. So it's not going to take too long. And then once you have it exported, it's always good practice to double check in your file folder and make sure that it's playing correctly, which mine is. Looks good. Okay. And then you're going to upload that to Google Classroom. And that is how you get used to using Premiere Pro.